All right, excellent afternoon to all our viewers across the country. Let me put it like that. On Real Talk with Kike, we will continue to do what we know best, and that is giving you real talk on real issues, on life events, contemporary happenings, and of course, public discussion. Again, I say excellent afternoon again. I know you're out to another interesting edition of Real Talk with Kike. I remain your convener, Kike Lomaton. And of course, one of the real talkers behind schedule right now, and that's Marshall, our house husband. Mom, the woman in purple, how you doing?
I'm beautiful. I'm doing very well. It's
you look beautiful.
Oh my God! You know, Christ just rose, and he arose, he risen. We've seen different type of English, but I mean, it is very important that we take the notice of the crucifixion and the resurrection of God, and we align it and abide by it, which will ultimately make us love one another. With this, I say excellent afternoon to every one of us who is watching this today. I hope it's a beautiful day with you. Please stay with us. It's going to be another beautiful, jolly ride.
All right, on this day in 2003, to be precise, former President Olusegun Obasanjo won a second-term bid against some 20 other candidates. Interesting. Let's get more on this story on this day in history segment. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
On this day, 19th April. On this day in 2003, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, a former military ruler turned civilian statesman. He sought a second term against some 20 other candidates. Obasanjo won 62% of 42 million votes. He came to power for the second consecutive term. Part of his promise in his speech after re-election was to restore the rule of law, to institutionalize the principles of equality, justice, and peaceful coexistence, to enshrine an ethic of transparency, accountability, and responsibility in leadership, and to install an efficient economic regime that would help reduce poverty and bring about a visible improvement in the quality of the lives of our citizens.
All right, exactly how many years
19.
ago? 19 years ago, former President Olusegun Obasanjo won with about 42 million votes. And I must say that during that period, I felt that it was more of the principle of equality, justice, and yeah, quite a number of people said it was rigged, this, blah, blah, blah. But come on, during election, all sorts of things do happen. Well, but quickly, let me take your brief submission on this because we are running out of time. What's your take on this?
Well, I think that you know, it was the second term, and we just had transited from the military government into the what's it called, the what are we running now, the democracy. So if he had promised us some certain things, well, posterity already has it recorded, his first term, his second term, what he did, and all the antecedents, and it's there, we can read it. If he had done very well, kudos. If he had not done up to, I think maybe it's better, it's not as bad as when it was then than it is now. But I'm sure that every Nigerian leader, aspiring leader, and leader on seats at this point should please take into consideration the rule of law and Nigerians at large.
Well said, but I think that he did a lot of things, but that's another debate for
another day.
All right, many thanks for staying with us. 4 presidential aspirants of the People's Democratic Party, that's PDP, you know, from the southeast region of Nigeria met on the 9th of April to resolve, or should I say to ensure their party zones within themselves in terms of presidential tickets to the region will be sorted. So ex-Anambra Governor Peter Obi and ex-Senate President Pius Anyim Pius
Anyim Pius.
Yeah, and Sam I think Oyem Banwa. Okay. I hope I pronounced that properly. Apologies. And of course, Nwachukwuwa and Akweweze agreed to work together to ensure that a Southeasterner emerges as the PDP flag bearer. But Real Talk with Kike, you know, we have the honor of an excellent or exclusive interview with the former governor of Anambra State. I think that was last week. That's Mr. Peter Obi, and his agenda for presidency was pretty clear on this platform. And on the show today, we are having another presidential aspirant who have served this country in numerous capacity, and in one of those offices the former Senate, and he was the former senator, president of our great country. You know what, guys? Let me keep my breath. Welcome to the show, Senator Anyim. It's a pleasure to have your national figure on the show today, and I must emphasize, not many are privileged to have served this country from the legislative corridors and, of course, from the office of the Secretary General. So, indeed, I must say you have a record of service to our fatherland that is worth, what's now? What, you know?
What, emulating?
Emulating, yeah. Thank you, Damilola. How are you today, sir? Many thanks for joining us on this lunch show.
Thank you. I'm good.
Good to know. All right, so, you know, one of the first topic I would like to ask you, one of the first question rather that I would like to ask you is the fact that the essence of the meeting that took place, you know, to ensure that the South is represent a strong, credit and powerful candidate that can win the presidential ticket under the PDP, People's Democratic Party. I would like you to, you know, tell Nigerians why it is very important that the next president must come from the Southeast, because I know that there are quite a number of divided opinions on this. What's your take on this?
Well, Madam Kike, let me first again thank you for having me on this program. But I realized that you were struggling with the names of the other aspirants from Southeast. Like,
for language reasons, sir.
like Samuhu Abunwa is Ohu Abunwa. So get it right.
Oh.
Then the other one is Anakwense. Dr. Anna. You also struggle with my name, whether it is Anyim Pius or Pius Anyim. My name is
I can never struggle with that. I can't struggle with that name.
Apologies, sir.
All right.
Well, let me also say again that while you were running my profile, I don't know how you compiled that, but I think I need to look at it. You would have gotten my profile from my web page. I think there were a whole lot of misinformation. For instance, the one I could click, the one I saw as it was rolling, that I complained about ICPC and therefore set up to review the relevance. It is not true. One is not that I complained. I know that the Senate resolved that we need to strengthen it, because it was our law. It was the first bill the National Assembly, or the Fourth Assembly, actually passed. It was the ICPC bill was the first executive bill processed by the National Assembly, and that was part of the National Assembly that passed that law. But we got to a point that we realized that we need to strengthen the independence of that agency so that it can effectively deliver on its mandate. And what we said was that a retired judge is the chairman of ICPC and is an executive chairman. But we think that it should have been a judge whose remunerations and discipline should be undertaken by NJC. And it was as a result of the way the operation was kicking up that time that this thoughts came. So what we did first was to set up a Senate committee on ICPC. And the idea was for that committee to look at the operations of the agency and work out how it can be quite effective. That's how it came about. If it were because I complained, maybe the next Senate wouldn't have sustained the committee. There had been a committee on all those agencies, on the anti-corruption agencies till date. So I think maybe the facts need to be put clear. It's not anything personal. It was an effort by the Fourth Assembly to be sure that such an important agency functions are at optimum. And we thought an adjustment need be made on its leadership. Well, I'm sure that is not your question. Now, coming back to your question, I want to say that, yes, the aspirants met from the Southeast met. Let me put it this way. You can agree with me that what is on the table now is not just who becomes the president. It's first and foremost, where should the president come from? Then second, who qualifies to be this president? And this qualification is not measured by the academic qualification of the person, but it should be measured by the experience of the person, the capacity of the person, and the knowledge of the person of the country to actually confront the challenges that we have before us today as a country. So, and I want to say that taking the first leg, which is where should the president come from? The Southeasterners more particularly, not necessarily the aspirants from Southeast. And I think every well-conscienced Nigerian believe that for reasons of equity, for reasons of fairness, for reasons of justice, power should rotate. And it's not just a casual thing, so to say, because in the Constitution of PDP, Section 73C, it is clearly stated that zoning and rotation shall be a major principle, a fundamental principle of the party. 2, in our 1999 Constitution, amended, which we operate today under Chapter 2, Section 13, it was also that the federal character principle has to be applied or implemented in any leadership or in fact in all the structures of the federation. And the idea is it's not only when you're employing or just a leadership position, you also find out that even in admission into universities, even in whatever, you still have quota system, you have this, just to give that federal character, so that places that are not balanced will also have opportunity to come up to a balance. So under the principle of rotation, more particularly under our party, the PDP, and I think it's in the mind and in the head of every Nigerian that for the unity of the country, for equity in the country, for the progress and peace of the country, that power should rotate between North and South. And let me clarify something that many people miss. When the power shift movement started in 1999, it was the military that was being restored out of power. But then the politicians of then got together to say power must shift. Because today I hear people talk about it's not the PDP that is in power, since it is another party that is in power. You cannot talk about rotation to the south under another party. But in 99, when this principle or concept came up, it took off on the premise that the military that had dominated the leadership of the country for so long then were all from the north. That for the peace of the country, power should shift to the south. And everybody complied with that. Everybody worked towards that. Everybody fought for that. And in that election, you agree with me, the 2 presidential aspirants were from the south and indeed southwest. So what necessarily we are saying, but not necessarily that is the reason why we are putting ourselves for the contest. I, for one, I am putting myself out of the contest because I have good knowledge of the country. From the vantage positions I've occupied, I understand the problems. I also have enough experience, which I consider cognate, because I have headed the National Assembly or the legislature, if you care. I've also headed the administration at the executive side, and I'm a lawyer by training. So I have all it takes to actually take the country out of this present quagmire. And that is why I am putting myself up. And I also believe that even the other aspirants from Southeast are putting themselves up because they feel very qualified, eminently qualified to aspire to that position. But we are saying, even within that context, because whenever I make a case in this context, I emphasize that there is no region, there is no zone in this country as at today that cannot produce capable people that would lead this country efficiently and effectively. So if every zone can do it, and for the peace for the peace of the country, it should rotate. Why would anybody muddle the water? Because it's the turn of one zone or one region. So we're only saying, let the party follow its rules, let the nation apply its conscience, let fairness, let equity let justice prevail. I think that is the issue.
Okay, Senator, sir, I would like to pick up from what you said, saying that you know the roadmap of the problems of the country, and of course you've been there, you've seen it, you understand what Nigerians actually need at this point. So is there a special blueprint you're coming with? And of course, I know that by that you already have your supposed cabinet members, people who can work with you, who align with your vision and your thoughts. Can we have a sneak peek into your blueprint of making Nigeria or pushing Nigeria forward in another 8 years, should you become the president of the Federal Republic?
Well, I am sure this brief time on this interview will be too short for my entire blueprint. But let me say that I have seen people talk about what they do, picking it one after the other. I believe that there should be a holistic approach to resolving the national question of today. And I think that
all right, I think we are having some technical challenges. The internet is a bit erratic, but with what I have shared thus far, you know, because I know that there's an issue of zoning that is presently ongoing, and the fact that the news also indicates that they might be tilting towards a consensus of favoring one person or the other, you know. But hopefully, are we connected to our guest now?
Okay, welcome back.
Are you there, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So, like I did started to say, it will be too short for me to present my blueprint, but I will approach the challenges from three perspectives, and they will go on simultaneously. I'll take on the political issues, which is to bring everybody to the table to build a consensus on a way forward for our coexistence. I'll take up the economic challenges, which will take cognizance of the fact that in the next 15 years, the oil economy will no longer be sustainable. I will also take into cognizance of the fact that in the 21st century, that the role of government in the economy will simply be source market-based solutions. In other words, the economy should be driven by private sector. I will take into cognizance of the fact that the world is in a transition into the fourth industrial revolution, and the effect of the fourth industrial revolution will affect the factors and mode of production, because of course there will be disruptive technologies that will affect the way we live, the way we think, the way we work, and the way we do many things. We'll also take into consideration that we have an impending debt crisis and the weakness of the naira. So taking this into consideration, I will approach my economic master plan from three perspectives. One, industrialization. We need to reduce importation, we need to step up on local production, and we need to strengthen the naira. We also need to expand the productive activities in the economic sector involving virtually everybody at every level. So we will promote medium, small, micro enterprises. We'll also, all the same in the industrial sector, also segment them into large, medium, and small scales. And the whole idea is that we need to source alternative means of employment, not just the white collar jobs. We also will, under our talent and innovation policy, we will try to escalate and promote the innovative capacity and creativities of our people. We believe we will need to set up innovation hubs across the country according to their areas of advantage, and support them with training, support them with marketing, support them with technology, and support them with startup funds. And I know that if we're able to push enough support to startup businesses, many people will be out of the street at the same time, and even with great jobs for others. And I will also, the last segment of course, in the economic sector, we will deploy largely science and technology. We will use science and technology to drive.
I just wish that we can get a clearer, a better internet service right now, which is part of the technology is actually trying to talk about. Yeah. You know, but thus far with what we have shared. Are you there, sir?
Are you with me?
Okay, sir.
Yeah,
yes.
with you.
With me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
So So I said, I also do know that at times people categorize issues of security, infrastructure, health, education, justice system, and all that as sectors. No, we grade them in development economics as enablers of growth and prosperity. We will drive this with science and technology, and it will enhance precision, and it will deliver as planned. So we will also, are you there?
I hear you loud and clear.
Are you still there?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
So getting out of the economy, I will also have a program on social integration, because never before in our history have we ever been so divided as today. Never before in our history has the state been so weak in protecting lives and property. Never before in our history has non-state actors have had so much access to firearms, to the point that they can confront and overcome state actors. And we have to also take into cognizance that the issues of hunger, the issues of discrimination, deprivation, and all that had actually eroded a whole lot of self-confidence from our people. And it had affected us socially.
Thanks for that submission. Can you hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
All right. Many thanks for that. Many thanks for that submission. I know we are running out of time right now, and I would like to ask you quickly, maybe if you can answer me in 1 minute, because the news and the indications we are seeing are tilting towards consensus favoring Mr. Peter Obi as the presidential flag bearer of the party. How true is this, sir? In 1 minute, what's your take on this?
Well, I really think that if you watch what we did the day we met, we didn't talk about consensus. We avoided that word. We said we were going to work together to ensure that a Southeasterner become the next president. And I think I addressed the press myself. I read it out. So we never talked about consensus, and we haven't even done anything towards that. What we did was to come together first, then to say, look, the right thing, the equitable thing, the fairest thing, the justice of it is that the Southeasterner should emerge as the next president. So if anybody is talking about consensus of one candidate or the other, I haven't heard that before. That was not what we meant. If we are getting to that stage, we haven't gotten there. But what we said is we should work together to ensure that it comes to Southeast.
Thanks for that. We'll go on a quick break to get a message from our sponsors. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, glad to know you're still with us. In case you just joined the show, today's conversation is about the PDP consensus meeting which held on the 9th of this month, and we have a member and a stakeholder who is also a presidential aspirant on the show today to discuss the significance of the meeting and of course the importance of power shifting to the southeast come 2023. And of course I know that he has emphasized that for peace to reign in our country, power must shift to the south. But sir, before I connect back to you, I think it's important for us to quickly open our phone lines. Remember, you can be part of this conversation by calling the studio number 080-988-77400 showing on your screen right now. Remember, we're also streaming live on Facebook and YouTube page, both on Silverbird platform and Real Talk with Kike. And I must say many thanks for all your submission thus far. But you know, in the southeast, there's agitation, and the agitation is on the eye, and even the newly elected governor of Anambra State, that's Professor Charles Soludo, is also having rough starts with the IPOB violence and their sit-at-home order. I must ask you, what will finally set the matter aside, you know, with all the issues that is ongoing at the moment? What's your take on this with the Southeast?
Well, it is such a huge question, but let me say that, do you remember that prior to that election, I mean the election in Anambra State, that 3 days to the election, there was, in fact, all through the election period, that there was no issue of IPOB or any form of criminality. The election was pretty peaceful, and people turned out to vote. So one way or the other, I think we still need to understand how to approach these questions. I believe that it's beyond the state governor to resolve. Why am I saying so? Because we have these challenges across the country. The federal government should be able to take responsibility to set out a working modality that will resolve the issues of violence and violent crimes across the country. And I always refer people to the open letter I sent to the president on insecurity some time back, I think about 1 year or so ago, when the situation went as bad as it has been. I did do an open letter to the president offering my own suggestions. So maybe one or the other, I can't explain what the situation, what is happening presently in Anambra State, but I think it's certainly beyond the capacity of the governor to just resolve it. But if you ask me, it's a nationwide problem. It's a national insecurity, armed agitation.
All right, we lost him again. Apologies for keeping you waiting. Kike, are you still there? Is Kike still there?
Hello, Kike.
All right, I think we lost. All right, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you?
Anyim Pius Anyim. He's a very good man. When it comes to the questions of PDP journey to Peter Obi, whoever that will lead Nigeria to the promised land should take the seat. And when he talks about the power shifting, for peace Nigeria I'm talking about, the power shifting should be in the south. I think it's the right time we should do the needful and make the equilibrium balance very well.
Your TV set, please. We cannot hear. Apologies, I have to let Ejigo go. Marshall, please go ahead.
Well, I don't know if we have the Honorable Member Pius still online.
I was talking and another person was talking. I don't know which one, who has the floor. Is it from my side or your side?
Nigerians generally had the floor. Well, your view was interrupted by a caller who called us online. But I'd like to know, sir, looking at the political landscape of Nigeria right now, it's obvious that the north and the northeast, not generally, has the population. My thoughts are what you and your political party intend to do to win that over, because this the side of the people in Nigeria that predominantly feel that the power should remain in the north, and in the southeast with the crisis looming with IPOB, and just very recently we saw gunmen who are alleged to be IPOB members attacking registration centers, INEC national registration centers in the east. So my thoughts are what you and your political party would be doing to capture that part of the country, the north.
Well, at times when we talk like this, we also should be conscious of the fact that we have history. President Buhari ran election 3 times as a northerner, and he had always won in the north. He never became president until South joined him. No region, no zone can do it alone. It's not possible. No, President Buhari's example is just the example. But now in 2019, we fielded a northern candidate and nobody ran from the south. In PDP, we still lost. No region, no zone can do it on their own. And when you look at the voting spread too, and take time to do that, if you look at the voting spread, you will find out that what anybody claims about numbers does not really get the winning vote. What I think has won elections in Nigeria had been, in fact, if you ask me, I would say that at all times it had been justice, there has been equity, there has been fairness that had always delivered on the presidential election in Nigeria. And that is why it had never been for the strongest, it had never been for the richest. And look at our history. So I don't know what anybody is talking about that, but I know that if the country agreed today that it is the turn of the East and zone it to the East, and Easterner will win. So If you throw away that fairness and justice and equity, whatever happens, I may not say, but that is not a matter of number. Democracy is not all about number in all cases, and that's what we must understand. If it were all about number, we won't have federal character. If it were all about number, we won't be talking about zoning. So let us understand it, and I don't think it's a problem. And when you talk about there were incidences where registration booths are attacked in Southeast recently, you also would remember recently that there were instances of violence and terrorist attack across the country in many other places. It's a national challenge. It shouldn't be visited on any region for any reason. It's a national challenge. What you will be looking at today is what is it that need be done to bring this situation under control. And if you ask me, all that need be done, elect the right person, then he will take the right type of leadership, give everybody a sense of belonging, create jobs for the jobless youths that are taken to arms, and everybody will have a stake in society, and then we'll protect the society. So let's not trivialize this matter. We have had government in this country, we have had history in this country, and it had never been like this. Democracy had been here since 1999. It had never been like this. It was not like this by 2015. It had really escalated from 2015. So why are we not facing it the way it is?
Yeah, I must admit, sir, you had a very vibrant political career. We've seen the last of which were your days in the National Assembly. But aside from that, very recently, forgive me if I think that you've been very politically quiet. I would be wondering, like so many other Nigerians who might be wondering, what has the Honorable Pius Anyim been up to politically in the windows that he seems to be very quiet about national burning affairs and current affairs and national issues that have been burning in the country? What have you been up to, politically speaking?
You were actually wrong to say that I have been politically quiet, but I can tell you I'm not a political tout, so I don't wag my mouth when it is not necessary. When the country got into a hitch by reason of Yar'Adua's sickness and transmission of power to the Vice President, then Goodluck Jonathan, I led 41 eminent Nigerians to address the National Assembly. And that intervention also encouraged the National Assembly to evolve what was popularly now known as Doctrine of Necessity. And it was just a day after our address. And that matter was resolved. And my intervention was necessary. I needed to do it effectively. And I got across the country 40 eminent Nigerians plus myself. I led them to National Assembly. The insecurity as it was escalating, I'm sure in the media you should have seen it. As it was escalating, it should be about 1 or 2 years ago. That's 2021 or 2021. I wrote an open letter to the president. I said, Mr. President, this is my position on this matter. Arms alone will not resolve it. Go and read that letter. If you don't have it, I send it to you. And I marshaled out my reasons, the reasons for the positions I was taking, and I named and I gave instances how it would work, and I articulated it point clear, and I sent to the president and publicized it. I needed to intervene, and I intervened. I am not such that we want to keep relevant by just talking. I don't do like that. My substance is within me, and my love for my country drives me, not the love for myself to be seen.
Many
if
thanks.
I see anywhere that
Many thanks for that submission, sir. You know, and I want to concur with you with what you've just shared, because I remember speaking with you yesterday and you were a bit reluctant, you know, coming on the show because you believe that your work should speak for you instead of you constantly engaging the media. So I can concur to that. So, however, I know that many people believe that it is the Southeast people who are gifted with business and economic ideas, and of course entrepreneurship, that can turn around the economic challenges in the country at the moment. You know, knowing that while your former principal was in government at the time, you know, dollar was 180 at the time. You know, inflation today, we can see the exchange rate of 570 to $1, and of course there's a lot of mass unemployment. And I can say that with your submission thus far, if someone like you come in as the next president, of course there will be a review in our economy. But putting that aside, you know, there was something I read about Afe Babalola, who said that the election should be postponed and the interim government should succeed President Muhammadu Buhari. What's your take on that?
Well, that is unconstitutional, and under no circumstance would that take place. And I am surprised that he's making such suggestion. It's not possible. It's not practicable, because there is no such space in the Constitution. There should be election, and the next president should be democratically elected. So I don't know what informed that suggestion. I know that most people who believe that a new constitution should be enacted before another election comes up with such ideas. But whatever idea you have, it has to come within the framework of the constitutionality within which we practice. Anything outside that will not work. So my take is that is not within our system, and it has no space at all in our system.
All right, many thanks for all your submissions, and of course, many thanks for also honoring my invite to feature on the lunch show today. But before we let you go, Senator, there is this last segment of the show that we call Trending Stories. These are stories that binds us, or that interest us, or that that unifies us as Nigerians. So, and the first trending story that caught our attention is that of the I'm sure you must have seen it in the last 24 hours on our social media, how a daughter was raped, allegedly, you know, by the video shared online during the Chrisland school trip. Sir, before I ask for your comment, well, let me come to you first, sir. What's your take on this trending story?
Well, in the first place, my sympathy goes to that child, because it will be so traumatic that all through her life, it will be terrible for her to overcome it. But if you ask me, I'll blame the parents. If I have a 10-year-old daughter, under whatever circumstance, I won't hand my daughter over to a school to take on a foreign trip. And I don't see what people get from these foreign trips. All through my life, both myself and my I schooled my primary, my secondary, my university, all my education were in Nigeria, and I made sure that all my children schooled here. So what are you taking? Why are you handing over a 10-year-old child to some other person to take abroad to go and see what? So, but honestly, I think the Lagos State government had taken the right step by suspending that school. The matter must be thoroughly investigated, and the course of law the law should take its course. It is, and people should learn from it. I won't do it. I won't hand my 10-year-old girl to a third party under whatever reason to take on a foreign trip. So while we blame the school, we also should blame some of these parents. What is the 10-year-old girl going to learn abroad? Well, maybe I'm sentimental or emotional about this.
No. I concur with your line of thought, sir, and I think you just helped me in my own submission. But quickly, let me come to you, Marshall. What's your take as someone who is a proprietor of a school? And I know we've had a debate about this on our WhatsApp group, but what's your take thus far?
Well, it's very. When I saw the story yesterday, it destabilized me largely, and I would blame largely the school. People have called out the parent, and first of all, I would like to, on my own opinion, stand to say that I don't think that girl was raped. That wasn't a case of rape. We saw the videos. We all saw the videos. They are still available online. The girl was more or less like in charge. She didn't seem like someone who didn't have prior knowledge of sexual experience, and I blame largely the school. You see, when people say it's the fault of the parent, that the girl was not brought up properly and all of that, the school was handed, this girl was handed over to the school. There is a place of monitoring. You're taking children abroad. Why put them in a hotel? Why put them twos in each rooms? Why without a chaperone? If there were chaperones, why weren't the chaperones in those rooms with these children? Why didn't they get a hostel? Why didn't they get a school to partner? Why didn't they get a dormitory and of one school in Dubai, because I heard it was a World School Game they went for. They could have partnered with other schools who were hosting the tournament or whatever it was in Dubai. And then it also reeks of lack of rules, lack of regulation, lack of monitoring by the school. Forget the parent. Where I blame the parent is the mother coming out to say Nigerians should help us. And for heaven's sake, Kike, on this show you've come on set, we've all been sentimental about rape and rape. People should be careful about how they call out, rape. The word rape. Any slightest thing that involves a child or a girl and they say it's rape. But thank God there was a video to show for it. If not, those boys would have gone down for it. I also blame the school in the aspect of why suspending only the girl. Why didn't they suspend all the boys? I also shared the opinion of the boy who was seen lying down beside them and he was saying that he wanted to sleep. That boy was badly traumatized. The parents of that boy should sue everybody involved. The parents of the girl, the parents of the boy who was making love, because that boy his mental stability is already derailed. For years, he won't get it off his mind.
All right. Masha, many thanks for your submission. And I think that before I give my submission right now, I want to first off thank Obi Franklin, for bringing this to the fore. Without that, I think that the issues, I feel issues like this wouldn't have been, would have been swept under the carpet. We wouldn't have seen we wouldn't have all heard about it. And first off, I also feel that let's understand that I'm sorry, I'm a Yoruba woman, only your Colombimo, but Igbainyo Longwo, which means that only a parent gives birth, but the upbringing of the child is the responsibility of the society. I still stand by that. And again, I have I'm a close stakeholder in this matter, and I called one of the headmasters or head teacher yesterday from one of the branches, which I shared with you guys in the WhatsApp group. And to me, the clarity on this matter, I could pick a point from it. However, hang on, Damilola, I feel that there are three parts, involved, and I feel that all the parts are all blameworthy on the matter, from the school to the parents to the child involved, and for the children, for the child involved. Again, I'm shocked, and at the same time I'm not shocked. And the reason why I'm saying this is the fact that the children of nowadays are internet savvy, even more savvier than even we the adults today. And the amount of consumption that they get from TV, from online platform, and even their environment is very worrisome. I just feel that many people are against regulation of social media today, but I'm of the opinion that in such cases like this, it buttresses the point of the fact that there must be restriction, because they are unguided when it comes to social media. Internet content can destroy them, as we have seen this younger generation who are very internet conscious, and also the kids that are also involved. I feel that with the video, you have the nerves to watch the video. I couldn't go more than 5 seconds, because ordinarily from the 5 seconds, it told me what exactly went down with the fact that she was actually in charge. And one of the things that I also want to say is the fact that engaging these children, I stand to be corrected, I feel that these children are extremely sexually active, just like my co-host Pasha just emphasized, and it's such a shame that in a society like this, where especially from our own side of that, we are very religious conscious, and I feel that that's where hypocrisy comes from. Now, taking it back to the school, guys, I feel that the school also is culpable. How can they plan a game excursion overseas without thorough guidance that you've said for 24/7 monitoring? I also feel that the kids were also carried away in a foreign land, and that's the reason why they've misbehaved. Because I can tell you that when my children are abroad, there's some sort of excitement that causes me. So I personally, I do not allow my kids, just like Senator Anyim have just emphasized, I do not allow my kids to go for such excursion except that I go with them. The school is liable in that regard. And I feel that parents, I'm sorry to say this, you know, many parents of nowadays need to be parented, even taught how to parent, or taught parenting itself, because many have failed in their primary obligation. The child must have been, you know, how would I put it, that I've been exhibiting such tendencies before even leaving home, because I'm a believer of charity begins at home. I don't know however you look at it. It's unfortunate that parents, you know, bribe school coaches, and the reason why I'm bringing this bribe school coaching is the fact that my son attends Grange, and I can tell you categorically, maybe I should take that back, you know, I can tell you categorically that most schools, most top schools today, parents bribe coaches. They bribe their sports coaches for their children should be unpicked to go for such excursions and the likes and all of that for all this international trip. But again, what does that tell you? That's corruption of every level. And those corruption sometimes, it doesn't necessarily mean in terms of exchange in cashes. It comes in terms of bad characters, bad behaviors. And with such a dirty and shameful practice, you know, I can't help but to just say, you know what, Christian school must also take ownership in this. And now, to the girl involved, obviously there were parenting gaps, and she needs a lot of therapy, you know, also listening to the mother. And I like what you emphasized on earlier, Masha, when you said that, you know, you have an issue, the mother coming out to face the public to say that, oh, I need Nigerians to help me. It's not about Nigerians helping you. The child needs counseling that will revive us as psychological and moral stability. And she needs deliberate parenting and not just ignorance. I feel today absent-minded parents are all over the place. We work to pay bills, and now we have outsourced our responsibility in the hands of people that should take care of our children. And I feel that with everything that has happened, with all we've said, this is a wake-up call. The fact that you pay millions to a school, or a tutor doesn't, and you pay a lot of money to tutors when it comes to all this sporting whatever, doesn't mean success in parenting. It doesn't mean success. I hope somebody is listening to me. We need to be more conscious and be deliberate about our children and how they grow with the environment that they are in right now, that is internet savvy. It's not the way your own parents parented you that you will use the same skills to parent the child, that where we have an internet that is, you know, it's different. Right now, I think the child has to be more focused about healing, and helping that child out of the drama and the psychological effect and the shame that have come with her name. And you know, I think
in 1 minute, I would just like to wrap this up. I don't know if you've seen the latest development that she has another handle on Likey with over 24,000 likes, and she posted over 526 videos with 4,134 followers as at Easter Monday. Is her mother aware that she has different applications? Why do you hand a child who is barely 10, 11 an internet-enabled phone? It takes us back to the family. Family begins, charity begins at home. Why do you not have a computer system? They say it's abacus, they say it's old, but let it be there. You can monitor. Each child has a time to be on the system. It's bad parenting. If a child can have more of 10 years and she even engages in different erotic dances. I've seen about 4 or 5 videos. And this is not even the school. Does the parents know about it?
You have the strength to go, the nerves to go through this.
No, to go to this sexual activity part, her other page on Likey, which is another app like TikTok. And she has 526 videos. The mother might not even know she has a Facebook account. And I say it to people that most of these online applications, they have a way of guideline. But we, the parents, are the one using our email addresses to open because
we have to,
for IG, we have to for age.
We have to go now. And talking about guidelines, I think that most times all this app, there's a way that you can connect it to your own email that guides the parent on what your child needs. And more importantly, when you give your child a tablet, be conscious to put the real age in the iPad. I think that's also some of the challenge, because when you put the right age in the iPad, Google helps you
the content.
Exactly. All right, with that, we've come to the end of another interesting episode of Real Talk with Kike. And indeed, we had an awesome show on today's edition of Real Talk, courtesy our resourceful guest, former Senator President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Senator Anyim Pius Anyim. Thanks for coming on the show, sir.
Thank you so much.
It's been an interesting time with you. On this note, I say bye now and keep safe by watching your children.